This is Woodwords the Podcast, a production of the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild, with host Kevin Thomas and producer Chris McCauley. Here's your host, Kevin Thomas.
Welcome back, everybody, to a special edition of the Woodwords Podcast. I am joined today by a special guest. He's come all the way from Des Moines, Iowa. He is Logan Wittmer, famous of the Woodsmith Shop and editor-in-chief of Popular Woodworking magazine. Logan, welcome to Kansas City.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
What brings you to Kansas City?
Well, it's not your guys' football team, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, no.
No, so I'm down here for the next couple days shooting a project with Keenan Oren for some magazine projects for Popular Woodworking. So we're doing some project photos, in-process photos for a couple upcoming articles.
Okay. When can we expect to see this?
That's to be determined. Yep, it is going into the well of articles that is ready to be published. I would expect we'll probably be looking in the fall.
Okay.
Yep.
So what do you think?
You guys have a beautiful space here, and I was telling you before we started that I think you guys probably have one of the better outfitted shops of any woodworking guild I've been to, which is really cool. I mean, you guys have what, 2 or 3 big drum or belt sanders back there? Like,
There's
come
3.
on. Oh my, yeah, of course there is. So no, you guys have a very nicely set up space. Do you guys own the building or you guys rent it?
We rent.
Do you? It's perfect size for what you guys do, it looks like. Although everybody always wants more space.
Right. Can you tell us a little bit about Logan Wittmer?
Yeah, so I am an Iowa native. I grew up in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Been a woodworker since I was young. I mean, I grew up kind of doing basement remodels and sheds and stuff with my dad. And once I hit the middle school level, when I got into an actual woodworking shop in my school, I was like, oh, this is where I wanted to be. This, like the carpentry type thing is fine, but I knew there was something more that I wanted. So that's kind of when I really jumped into woodworking, feet first. And, kind of kept up with that all through high school, went off to college, and after a little stint in the pre-med field, I decided I wanted to work at a woodworking magazine. That's what I wanted to do. So I shifted majors, and out of college, I ended up working for a couple different print shops around Des Moines. And during that time, Woodsmith had offered me an editor spot, and I was in the middle of a bunch of different projects for the print shops, and it just wasn't a good time. And I said, hey, next time an editor spot becomes available, let me know, and I'll be interested. And about a year and a half later, they did, and the rest is history. So.
Well, a lot of people know you from the Woodsmith Shop on TV.
Yeah.
How did you end up there?
I was one of the suckers that raised my hand and volunteered. so we have filmed the Woodsmith Shop on PBS for, oh man, we're into our 16th season now. We are filming our 16th season. The initial cast, so the first season, the first couple seasons, I think the guys at the magazine joked that it was the cast of millions, because pretty much anybody that was on staff that had some form of camera presence was invited to join. And then over the next couple seasons, they kind of pared it down to Don, Brian, Phil, and maybe a couple others, Terry, here and there. And there came a point where pretty much everybody had retired. So I would say probably season 11 or 12, it's terrible that I don't remember. Season 11 or 12, myself and Chris joined Phil, and between the 3 of us, we've been stumbling through the last couple seasons. So
I know I can speak for myself in saying I enjoy it. So
I appreciate it.
You guys are doing something right. You're editor-in-chief of Popular Woodworking.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a magazine that had slipped considerably.
Oh yeah. Oh, I think that's putting it lightly.
That was one of the first magazines woodworking magazines that I subscribed to. So, what have you? Are you in the process of building it back up? What are you?
Yeah. So, Popular Woodworking started as Pacific Woodworker back in the 80s, early 80s, and it kind of evolved into Popular Woodworking. And same thing. I mean, it was one of the very first magazines myself as a hobbyist woodworker before I was in the woodworking industry subscribed to. I loved it. I was really a fan of what Chris Schwarz, Megan Fitzpatrick had built that magazine up to be. Kind of I don't want to say the boutique hand tool magazine, but it was a little bit.
A little bit.
And that really followed my interests. So I really enjoyed that. The previous company that owned Popular Woodworking, I don't know necessarily what had happened there, but some changes in management and focus of the magazine shifted a bit, and it kind of lost that boutique-y hand tool traditional woodworking type feel, and it started leaning more into kind of the makerspace, or a little bit kind of broadening its scope a little bit, which I don't think necessarily is the best thing for it. So when I was asked to take over a little over a year ago, I said, all right, you know what, I think we need to get this back to, it's never going to become a hand tool only magazine, because there's not that many people out there that do only hand tool woodwork, but we will put more of an emphasis on it. So we have kind of started to shift the Popular Woodworking approach to be focused back more on traditional type woodworking, whether that is traditional power tool techniques or traditional hand tool techniques, and more traditional type projects. You might see occasional stuff that is a little different. I'm in the process right now of shooting a project with a lady from Northern Iowa that is a internationally award-winning bird carver. So, you know, we might mix in some other forms of woodworking, because woodworking is not only furniture making. You know, there's a lot of different aspects. There's carvers, there's turners, there's a lot of other interests in woodworking. So we're going to mix some of that stuff in here and there. But I guess my entire end goal is to bring the quality of the magazine back up. So,
well, I can recommend that you look inside the woodworkers here in Kansas City. There
absolutely.
are a lot of really awesome woodworkers here, so maybe you might consider.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's one of those things that I think one of the most exciting things to me about the magazine is being able to show people techniques and stories from woodworkers. You know, coming from the Woodsmith magazine background, where Woodsmith is very project driven. It's very much a magazine that has 4 or 5 projects per issue that have been designed with the back-end staff, the designers, the project builders, and the point of the magazine is to show you how to build this piece of furniture. Whereas Popular Woodworking, I want it to be more of, you know, yeah, somebody may build that. I just got pictures yesterday of a guy that built my watchmaker's cabinet that was in one of the most recent issues, which I was blown away that somebody actually built it, because to me it's more of a aspirational type magazine. I want people to see and enjoy reading it, and I want them to see the stories and hear the stories, read the stories. So you know, I like sharing other people's stories. So I would love to meet some of the people from down here, and
maybe we'll get you to come back.
Absolutely.
Teach a class or something.
Yeah.
You have a side job.
I have a few side jobs. Yeah. Anybody that listens to our Shop Notes podcast knows I'm an avid lumber miller. Oh man, I was telling Keenan earlier today, yesterday morning before I drove up here, I was out picking up cherry logs because they were there and I needed them. I didn't need them, but I needed them. So I do a lot of milling, a lot of lumber.
They were there so you needed it.
Yes, well, they were there, and they were either going to come live at my house until I cut them into lumber, or they're going to get turned into firewood. And that'd be a shame.
Would you consider coming to Kansas City and teaching a class?
Oh, absolutely.
Since I'm the training director, I can
you know a guy?
I know a guy.
Yeah, I would love to. You know, I I go out and do demos and classes for a lot of the guilds in the Midwest. So I'd love to, absolutely. You guys have a great facility here. You know, some of the guilds I go do demos for don't have a dedicated space. So having a dedicated shop like this is fantastic. So this would be a wonderful place to teach a class.
Okay, to not keep you from your photographing too long, I'm going to give you our final 3 questions.
Okay, ready.
Just 3 questions, may or may not have anything to do with woodworking.
Perfect. I love those questions.
Pins or tails first?
Always tails, for me.
No Frank Klaus for you?
Nope.
Okay, have you tried Kansas City barbecue?
I have, not this weekend, or this week, but I have in the past. I always come down for, whenever Miami plays the Chiefs, I always come down for the game. So, yeah.
Yeah, how did you become, this isn't one of the questions,
No.
How did you become a fan of Miami?
I'm a fish out of water up here in the Midwest. So I think because my dad was a Miami Dolphins fan. My dad grew up in the kind of that Don Shula greasy era, undefeated 72 Dolphins. So by osmosis, I became a Dolphins fan.
There's such a good team here in Kansas City. So, final question. Do you have a woodworking hero?
Ooh, yes. I get to meet so many of them that's a hard question to answer. But my gut reaction, and it was something I was telling you earlier, I'm out at David Mark's shop in a couple weeks. And I grew up watching David Mark on Woodworks. And I would say, if anything, David would be one of my woodworking heroes. Just because I always have loved the type of work he does, and he blends very seamlessly an artistic approach to woodworking. So I would say, I'd have to say David Marks, but there's so many of them. So many of them.
This just in, how do we find out more about you? Or
So the best way would be popularwoodworking.com. Our magazine, Popular Woodworking, I end up writing a large portion of the magazine. Like to do a lot of the content in-house, trying to shift more reader-driven content. But yeah, popularwoodworking.com. People can always email me for anything, lwhitmer@aimmedia.com. And Shop Notes Podcast. So we do that weekly.
Okay. Well, that's going to do it for today, everybody. We want to thank you for joining us. Thank Logan for being with us. And remember, as always, subscribe, like, share, comment, and remember to work safe and get your sawdust on. Thanks.
This has been Woodwords the Podcast, a production of the Kansas City Woodworkers Guild, with host Kevin Thomas and producer Chris McCauley. A special thank you to our guest today, to the Guild's Leadership Committee, and to all of our sponsors. For more information about the Guild, upcoming classes, and events, please visit our website kcwg.org. You can also find us on social media by searching for Kansas City Woodworkers Guild. And remember to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. For more videos, please check out our YouTube channel.